Just 2 years ago, I lay in a bed in a hospital on life support. I lay there for almost a month in an induced coma. Now, you may think that I had a terrible accident, which isn't the case. And I'm clearly not in a coma right now, but I live to tell the story I'm about to tell you today. Hopefully, my story will offer you insights about my experiences during and my reflections after this period of my life. Today, I'm going to talk to you about two things: adversity and how to overcome it. Specifically, I'm going to try to answer a question that I'm sure has been on all our minds at some point in our life, possibly many points in our life, and it goes something like this: how will I get through this? When is this going to end? Essentially, this question takes the form of, how can I overcome adversity? Whatever the adversity is that you may face. So I Googled adversity. And I saw the definitions came up and it said difficulties, hardship, misfortune. I thought about this. And I think that adversity takes two flavors: the planned kind and the unplanned kind of adversity. I'd like to start off by telling you about the first type of adversity and what leads up to that, the planned kind. The first planned adversity starts here on campus. I went to the University of Waterloo Systems Design Engineering. This planned path proved to be difficult. School didn't come easy to me. I probably studied more in that first year than all my high school years combined. Thankfully, I graduated, and I think that Ringo said it best when he said, "with a little help from my friends," because I got by with a little help from my friends and classmates. A little bit more on them later. And as if school wasn't hard enough, I also tried out for the track and field team. I decided to challenge myself in running and also pole vault. Yes, pole vault. Not the most popular of sports, but definitely my favorite. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, you're looking at me, how did this 5'6" Asian guy do pole vault? Or better yet, how did this scrawny 5'6" Asian guy do pole vault? But I was up for the challenge, and I even had some decent success at it. I share this with you because this was my claim to fame. At UW Imprint magazine, it actually said that Jason Tham did the bulk of the damage for the Warriors in the field by winning pole vault with a lifetime best. At that time, I thought that those were pretty big challenges, and I learned a lot from my experiences here at Waterloo. But it was only the beginning, because upon graduation, I was to embark on my biggest challenge yet. 3 classmates and myself had a vision to build a really great company after identifying a need in the market for connecting brands and their suppliers to make more customized products in the consumer packaged goods supply chain. We started up in Canadian fashion. So unlike in the Valley, where you can kind of start up in your garage and it's a little bit warmer, what you do in Canada is you ask your parents to clear out their family room and start up there. Yes, we were a family room startup. We decided to grow organically instead of seeking any external investment for years. It wasn't easy at all. Coding through the night, pitching customers, going on the road. And when I'm talking about going on the road, I'm not talking about taking a flight business class or even taking a flight at all. I'm talking about, once again, asking your parents for their minivan and driving across the country from trade show to trade show, meeting with customers. Like I said, we didn't pay ourselves for years. We invested everything back in the business. Our better halves, our girlfriends at the time, graduated. They supported and continued encouraging us. So you could say that we went to the GBF Fund. Have you heard of the GBF Fund? It stands for the Girlfriend Venture Fund. It's a good one. And You've probably been told that you should pick your venture capitalist wisely because it's like marrying them. Well, in our case, we married all of them. We had challenges and was even featured in a book, That'll Never Work. But it worked! Through all the trials and tribulations, it was all worth it. We built an innovative, sustainable Canadian company that was a market leading in the industry. We had over 100 people in our Toronto office alone. We were super proud of our collaborative culture. We were having so much fun at it. All the founders were still in the company. You asked me back then, and even today, it is a fairy tale story. We expected challenges. In fact, it was wrought with challenge and adversity, but the outcome was so great. Outside of building the company, we still loved running. I still loved running and competing. I got into it fairly seriously. I got a professional coach. And after some time training, even 5-6 hours a day, I went to the provincials, qualified for nationals. Made it on Team Canada and represented the country in 2012 in New Zealand and also in 2013 in London, the UK, on the same course that the Olympics were held. This was one of the most thrilling of experiences, competing with over 70 countries and representing Canada. There were also wonderful personal planned challenges. My wife, Andrea, and I had a baby girl at the end of 2013 named Sophie. We knew life was going to change. I got off the team, but I wanted to continue running. And at the time, my cousin Tiffany was living in Dubai, and she was like, let's qualify for Boston to do the Boston Marathon in 2015. I'd done it before, so it was an easy thing for me. And I was like, I loved it. Let's make this a big family trip. So we'd all planned with a family and booked a trip for 2015 to run Boston together. So let's recap. Had a beautiful daughter, Sophie, a family bond that couldn't have been stronger. I was in the best shape of my life. The company was growing, and all the founders were still in the company. Oh, and also, my twin sister was going to get married in 2015, and we had planned a trip to Banff together as a big family. It was such a fun time, happy time, but it was also a very hectic time. A lot was going on. Little did I know that everything was going to come to a halt, a complete halt. As you can guess, this is when I talk about the second type of experience that leads to challenge or adversity, the unplanned kind. It was Monday morning, June 23rd, 2014. I felt under the weather. I woke up with a bit of a fever. Went to the doctors and came home. Took more liquids and decided to stay at home. After several days in that week, I progressively got ill, to the point that my wife and I were looking at each other and said I should probably call 911. Called 911, was stretchered out of my bed into the ambulance. Did some tests. Went to the hospital. More tests were done. I remember hobbling to one of the x-ray rooms. And in the room, they were taking x-rays, and the gentleman said, "Your organs don't look right, sir." And I said, "What do you mean they don't look right?" He said, "Sir, your spleen is very enlarged. It's over double what it should be. Your organs don't look right. We're not sure." Thinking back to that exact moment, I felt alone. I felt scared. I was cold. I was losing my ability to breathe. I was thinking about my friends and family. I remember being put on oxygen. I was coming in and out, and I eventually lost consciousness. The last picture I took was this bag of drugs and IV above me. I was in a coma for several weeks on life support, intensive care in the critical care unit. My wife took my ring off and wore it for both of us. It was a pivotal moment. It was real and surreal at the same time. Time passes when you're on life support. And trust me, this wasn't a selfie. During those weeks in a coma, I traveled in my mind. I traveled to Vegas. I went fishing. I was hidden in a hospital. I was kidnapped with pigs, and I attended a funeral. Common to all those visions was that I was surrounded with family and friends. Also common in all those visions is that I was hugely frustrated, unable to talk, unable to walk, asking for help, but no one being able to hear me. I thought all of this was reality at that time. Almost a month later, I awoke. And I remember seeing my twin sister Karen beside me. And this picture, and in fact, a whole shrine of pictures because my wife had made the unit a shrine of family pictures. I recognized my daughter, Sophie. And it dawned on me that I don't remember seeing that picture ever. I thought that time had passed, and I didn't know how much. I thought that it was only weeks that my sister's wedding was going to be in Banff, and no one had the heart to tell me that it was canceled and no one went. I woke up at 100 pounds, unable to talk, unable to think, let alone walk. I was significantly impaired cognitively, unable to connect dots, unable to recognize animals. I learned later this was due to a lot of hemorrhaging in the brain. But it was the visions and the dreams that bothered me the most. They were so real. You know when you have a dream today, and over time you forget it, and when you wake up you even know that it's not real? For me, these are so vivid and so visceral that they're memories till today. I remember hearing voices, a voice I didn't recognize, someone telling me that I'm in a long triathlon and a hill is approaching and to fight through it. I later learned that this was a social worker talking to me that was being interviewed, that interviewed my wife and asked her, what would make me want to fight and to want to live? I tell you this because you might have heard that people, even in an unconscious state, can hear things. And I assure you that they can. And the point I want to make is that it's never too late to connect. I also learned that lots of people, friends and family, people from our church wanted to help. My creative wife came up with this image, symbol of hope, called it Super Tham. Kind of like Superman. Friends got together, made shirts, word spread. How far did it spread, you may ask? It spread to people I've never met till today, places I've never been to, in Africa, South America, places all around the world. People took a picture of themselves with the symbol of hope. They sent it in not knowing me at all, but knowing the gravity of some situation. These emails were sent in to a SuperTham email account. Now look, I obviously had no idea I was asleep. Or did I know? And did the pictures, the thoughts, the feelings, the prayers help me awake? I eventually learned that my critical illness was caused by a very rare and aggressive bacterial strep from my throat that jumped to my lungs, that went to my blood, creating blood sepsis, and eventually full organ failure. Many weeks later, after being in the hospital, through UHN's amazing Recover program, led by Dr. Margaret Herridge, I returned to work. One day a week, then twice a week, and eventually full-time. It was now the winter, it was Christmas. I was just so happy to be alive and to spend it with family. So you remember that marathon that my cousin Tiffany and I were going to run? We qualified the year before. Well, I certainly was going to run it, but we had planned the trip. The day before the race, my cousin Tiffany and I said, let's take a picture at this finish line because we're not going to run this thing together. The morning of the race, I woke up and told my wife that I'm going to go to the start line and maybe support her and run with her for a little bit. 1 kilometer became 2, 2 became 4, 4 became 8. 4 hours later, Tiffany and I finished together. It was my slowest marathon by far, but the most gratifying immensely. We as humans tend to overestimate what we can do in one day, but underestimate what we can do in even a few months. The recovery was the hardest physical and psychological thing ever. I would have never been able to do it without family and friends. There will be planned and unplanned adversity in all our lives. It's all very real and all very relative to all of us. Therefore, the question is not if we will meet adversity, but then how we will meet it. Which brings me to the second thing I want to talk to you about today. How does one overcome adversity? You may be surprised if I tell you that you have everything you already need. You can likely find the keys to overcoming adversity on your smartphone. Hear me out on this one. Can everyone please pull out their smartphone? And with a show of hands, can you tell me who has over 500 connections on any social media network? That's a lot. 500 connections on any social media network. It's a lot of show of hands. You probably feel like you're even fully connected. But it's probably a safe bet that there's only a critical few people that make a profound difference in your life. Those are the people that are the quality people in your life. After all, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. These meaningful few, these quality people, make up the basis for what I call the Covalence Effect. This can be defined as the strong bonds that propel us through adversity. There are 3 components to the Covalence Effect. Who do you bond with? Bond strength. And how do you form those bonds and continue nurturing them? We've already previewed the who. Those are the people that make the biggest difference in your life. Those are the people that you feel most lost without. The second part is, how do you create those strong bonds? People form relationships or bonds, which require a great deal of strength. Do you remember in chemistry when we learned that there's 118 elements in the periodic table? Think about us. Look around in the world. There's so many more substances and materials in the world, but only 118 elements. How are they formed? It's about the strength of the bonds and the arrangement of the molecules that create these substances. We are products of nature. It's the relationships that's the same thing. And how can you tell that bonds are strong? They're flexible and adaptive, not hard and brittle. They bend and they move. Do you remember that when I was running with my cousin Tiffany? We just went with it. We didn't put any restraints on it at all. In that shared experience, the bond between my cousin and I grew stronger. And that's how we bond and we share experiences together. Bonds wither and break if you don't nurture them. Seriously. Think about all the social networks today that you can hide and wall up behind against these high-quantity social networks. Nurturing your critical bonds with the people you love takes time and effort, and it's so much easier to be able to hide behind them. But you gain so much more when you decide to open up your heart and be vulnerable with another human being. It's in these moments of absolute openness and vulnerability that we achieve the deepest of connections. So as I confessed in the beginning, I am no expert on adversity. I can only speak from empirical experience. But I can tell you that it's the covalence effects that allowed me to propel through all of life's adversities. So then the natural question is, how are these strong bonds formed? They say that the mother-daughter relationship is like a bond like no other. As a father, I can tell you that the father-daughter relationship is like no bond like another either. Let me share with you a little clip about how my daughter and Sophie and I bond together.
I love you. I love you. I love you.
Daddy on the bus goes.
I love you all through the town. I love you.
I love you.
In the middle of the day, my daughter Sophie will tell me I love you. When I'm with her, hand in hand, she'll say, I miss you. It is in these utmost parts of openness and vulnerability, and I think it's unfettered love and unfettered vulnerability that creates these bonds. So to build strength is to build bonds, and to build bonds is to be vulnerable. I wonder how much stronger humanity would be if we were able, from world leaders to one of us, each one of us, to be able to show vulnerability, build bonds, and create these covalence effects. And what results from covalence effects is more than just shared thoughts and symbols of hope. One bond can extend from one to another. It can extend to people that you don't know. It can extend across the world. And in my case, it extended my life. This is the first chapter in my ongoing life's journey, and has put a whole new trajectory on my life, with more yet to be discovered. My adversity was finite, but what I take with it is infinite. In the book of Proverbs, Solomon declares, as iron sharpens iron, so does a man or woman sharpeneth the countenance of his or her friend. Meaning that there is mutual benefit, just like two blades sharpening one another. It is with this that we sharpen one another. In times of meeting, times of friendship, and times of interaction. These are the covalent effects. It is not the why or the what in life. It is the who in life. So I want to leave you with a thought experiment. In 2 years, you're lying in a bed, waking up from a coma and a life-changing illness. Who do you see beside you? When you see me later today, I want you to tell me who it is you see and how you're going to build a stronger bond with them today. Thank you, and I would like to dedicate this to Brendan and his family.